today I would like to discuss the topic of automatic writing. It's a tool that I've been using since I first started in the craft. And it's one of my favorite ways to get immediate help and immediate answers. And it's a very simple process and one that becomes more profound the more you practice it. You're going to find all kinds of rules when you look up automatic writing from different practitioners. And all of that's fine. You can follow any rule that you want to. But understand that automatic writing is simply connecting yourself with your inner guidance and allowing that guidance to come through to you onto a piece of paper. Now, when I do automatic writing, all I do is I take a moment to get into a very light trance, nothing very deep and heavy, just relaxing the body and the mind. And I write out my question or my problem. I just write it out. Sometimes if I've got a lot going on, I can type faster than I can write. And I type out whatever's the problem, whatever's the question, whatever's the issue at hand, I type it out or write it out. And that gets my juices flowing, so to speak. It connects my whatever I'm using for writing, whether it's a keyboard or a pen, connected to my deep mind and connected to the issue at hand. I write that out, and then I just sit and I wait. And then I start to just write down exactly what I'm compelled to write. And it's like I'm a secretary taking dictation. And that inner voice will pause whenever I need to catch up and then pick up right where it left off. And then if I have a response, I make sure and write it out. I write that response out, or I type it out, or if I have another question, and I have a dialogue that I go back and forth with my inner guide, with my angels. Whatever you call your inner guidance is fine. There's no dogma. And as I do that, I am not really always that aware of what's been going on. So it's not until later, until I've closed down the trance, and sometimes the next day or the day after the next day, I pick that up and I read it and I look at the dialogue, and I usually have some very helpful, very profound answers. Now, when I try to read it right away, or if I try to experience the answers as they're happening, I don't get the full impact of it as I do when I put it away and I come back to it later. So if I'm doing it in a notebook, I just put the book away and I come back to it the next day or the day after, or I just close down the file on my computer and I come back to it the next day or the day after. And I'm always really impressed at how much smarter the voice is than I am. It's like I could never have come up with that stuff. It's always very impressive to me how much guidance is actually available when I put myself in the position of receiving it, actually receiving it. So what I thought I would do today is just go into the archives and take something from a long time ago when I was having some real problems and just show you what you can get, what I got, and if I can do it, you can do it. I'm not going to go into too much of the personal stuff that I was going through, but just suffice it to say that this is many years ago, and I was in a very dysfunctional relationship, and that's putting it mildly. I was involved with a person who was so bad for me. And I had no business being involved with this person. I was having a very blatant midlife crisis. And I was going through so much. And this person was very good at latching on and running with it. And that's kind of what some people love to do. And taking full advantage of me. And I was so distraught, and I was so upset, and I was so miserable. So I basically just vomited what I was experiencing and what I was upset about onto the paper. And then I just waited and listened. And this is what I got. This is my teaching angels talking to me. It says, "We are so glad you're being honest with your feelings." Just realized that I was in the lowest part of my life in decades, and I was like sobbing, and I just threw all of this vitriol out on this page. And I get this. "We are so glad you're being honest with your feelings. It is safe for you to do so with us. We love you and support you. We love, and they named this person, too. It was two people, actually. We love these people, too. These types of personality issues are not the truth of who you are, but in your realm they do need to be addressed, but not dwelled upon. You will get through this and return to the love that you have for one another at some point. Remember that he is not used to feeling what he feels for you, so he automatically attacks it. He makes it your fault in order to make it seem easier for him. He's not trying to hurt you, he's trying to get rid of his pain, and he's projecting it onto you. Ultimately, your response to that must be love and forgiveness, and right now you're in the process of undoing. It's important that you allow this to occur. The more honest you can be about your feelings when you bring them to us, the faster and more complete will be their undoing. You are actually doing very well, even though you may not be interpreting it that way. We love you and are very pleased with you. And I was not having that one little bit. And so I upped the ante and I just was basically screaming on the piece of paper, curse words and just what an asshole he is. And rah, 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 rah. I was not having that. And the response was, good for you, Ariel. You are allowing yourself to actually feel and face the thoughts that you harbor. You, quote, know that you are holy and that you are perfect and you're beloved of your Creator. However, you have lost that knowledge. So now it is more of a wish on your part, a vague wish, because it is the pain that you actually cherish. You love the pain. Until you no longer treasure your misery, it's not possible for us to take it from you. But you will give it to us, and we are waiting for you to do so. It's true that you could do it now. Does this attraction to guilt give you more than misery? It can't, because it's only designed to keep you miserable. It's ingenious, yet insane. When will you give it up? It can only be in the present moment. You can't do it in the future. It's not something you did in the past. It can only happen now. We wait for the instant in which you decide aright. We love you, you love us, and you love all of God's creation. But your desire for pain is much more interesting to you right now than the real desire which lies back of it. We can take all of it from you the instant you no longer want to keep it. But you know that you do want it. When will you decide? Now. When is now? Why is this so frightening? Now you have all the power. Now you have all the abundance. Now you have all the love. Now you have pure bliss. Now all of your dreams come true. But you've taught yourself that now is something to be avoided. We can take that away from you as soon as you no longer want to keep the past. Forgiveness really means nothing more than giving up the past. Your story only seems real because of the past. If you leave the past behind, your story has no more power. Now is the story made bright. Now is the story written that can unwrite all of your stories. Avoiding now is the only reason you have problems and misery. Now all problems have been solved. Now all is well. Now all is peace. Now all is joy. What you call the present moment is in effect a moment ago. The present moment is now. Well, I still wasn't having any of that. That's all very nice, but I was just like, rah, 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 and I was pissed at them. I was cussing at them. I was so angry. You don't understand. You don't understand. You don't understand. And the response was, good job. This is the only type of work that actually has results. Holding all these types of thoughts down is what's causing you to obsess and to feel bad. Bringing these thoughts up to us is what works. You can't heal this on your own. You are doing so very well. Keep at it. You are a miracle, and so is this person. All is well. The reason you aren't seeing this is just because of these types of thoughts occupying your mind. Keeping them out of your consciousness gives them power. Noticing them and giving them to us undoes them. You are saving yourself thousands of years each time you do this. You are also saving thousands of other souls by doing this. This is actual forgiveness. Pretending everything is peaceful does not bring you the experience of peace. Finding the blocks to peace and bringing them to us is what brings about your awareness of the peace that always exists in you. You are loved. You do love this person. It's not wrong. It's not bad. It's not inappropriate. This person's reactions to you are the best that they can do. Your response must be love, but until you bring us those blocks, true love is not something you can even access because you are motivated by fear and trying to convince yourself that it's love and forgiveness. So I'm starting to get a little bit less upset here, and I'm just more sobbing and saying, but, and then they have a little bit more to say to me. All ego is programmed to destroy. You are not unique in this. You are becoming aware of it, so your reaction is not uncommon, but it is also unwarranted. You will come to realize that you are just like everyone else when it comes to destructive ego patterns. But the best news of all is that the ego can't actually do anything. It can only convince you that it has done something. You will come to realize that everything you react to with fear is not really there. Soon you will know with certainty that anytime you are experiencing fear in any of its forms, that nothing is really happening. This often causes laughter, and it always causes relief. You can practice it now. All the fearful things that you look upon throughout your day are not happening. If fear is present, so is that which is not occurring. If peace is present, so is that which is occurring. You do not have to make peace happen. You simply have to recognize fear for what it is, and peace will present itself since it is always present. The light does dispel the darkness. It's always true, even when you're working hard at reinforcing that darkness. Remember that darkness is present because you value it. The instant you no longer want to keep it, then it is removed for you. If you are feeling anything other than peace, it's simply because you value something other than peace. It's really that simple. You will not want to see this because you know that if you do, then what you value will disappear. Therefore, you manufacture seemingly huge obstacles for yourself that you believe you can't surmount. This is simply a trick to keep the darkness in place because it's what you think you want. You perceive peace and light as a threat to you. You can change this if you desire, and you actually do desire it, but you have placed other desires in front of it in order to keep your pain alive. You actually want the pain. You act as though you are a victim of this pain, but in reality, it is what you believe you want more than anything. If you didn't manufacture reasons why you are a victim, then you wouldn't see the darkness for what it is and give it up. You don't want to give it up. So you create huge stories about why you are unjustly treated and victimized by your brother. It is all your game. We are here to release you from this. Your willingness to look at all of your darkness with us, and honestly, is what is actually delivering you from it right now. It is working. Your obsession with darkness is something you have valued for a long time. It's something you think you need in order to survive. You are afraid that you will die without it. But what will die is your pain, and you will give up this dark world and live in a world of happiness, which is your true home. It is a process of deciding. This period of undoing needn't be long and tedious. It only takes as long as you want it to take. However long it takes for you to no longer want to keep the darkness is the length of time it takes for you to be delivered from it. It is really completely up to you. That's how they ended their little communication with me. And I hadn't remembered that I had this little conversation. That whole period of my life was resolved and I moved on from it. And I was just going through some old files last week and I came upon that and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even remember. I didn't even remember having that conversation with them. But it's a wonderful example of how when I'm in a really dark place that I can just contact my guidance and have them help me. And have them give me some wisdom and realize that I'm not alone. I'm not all by myself. I do have very mighty helpers available to me at all times, and so do you. And you don't have to have any major education in magic in order to access this. All you have to have is the willingness to let that wisdom come through. And they'll meet you right where you are. Your angels will, or whatever you call your inner guidance. They don't have to be called angels to be there. And all you do, like I said, is just relax your body, relax your mind, just for a moment, try to get your mind focused for just a moment, and then write out what it is that you're dealing with. But you can see, I was in a state. I was not in a place of peace at all. I was in probably one of the worst states that I've been in since I was an adolescent, and they still were able to come through. And that can work for you just as easily and just as efficiently as it works for me. All you have to do is be able to write And so you can, like I said, you can type it or you can write it longhand, and they'll wait for you to catch up. You don't have to worry about how fast you can type or write. They'll catch up with you because they're very patient. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. And until next time, blessed be.